Ethan had always preferred quiet evenings in the colony. After a long day of repairing starship engines and fixing settlement equipment, he enjoyed walking through the soft hum of the food dispensary area, watching the lights flicker on the walls, and hearing the faint chatter of settlers returning to their homes. Life on the colony planet of Vera 9 was not easy, but it had its rhythm, and Ethan liked to be part of it without drawing attention to himself. He first noticed her on a dull, gray evening when the colony's twin suns were setting behind jagged rock formations. A small figure darted between the dispensary tables, almost blending with the shadows. Ethan froze as he watched the figure reach for a loaf of synthetic bread and a small package of nutrient paste. The girl's movements were quick but careful, like she had done this many times before. Then, as suddenly as she appeared, she vanished into the darkened streets of the colony. At first, Ethan thought it was another mischievous child from the colony's nearby settlements. But something in the way she moved, silent, purposeful, cautious, made him pause. He shook his head and walked home, trying to dismiss it. Yet the next evening he saw her again. The same small alien girl with shimmering violet skin and eyes as wide as a child's could be, slipping between tables to gather scraps of food. Ethan decided to watch from a distance, hiding behind a stack of supply crates. He saw her take the food and disappear down the narrow alleys, clutching it to her chest like it was precious treasure. Curiosity overwhelmed him. Who was she? Why was she stealing food every night? And why did it feel like he needed to find out? The third evening, Ethan followed her carefully. She ran lightly over the uneven streets, her small feet making no sound, and eventually climbed over a low wall at the colony's edge. Ethan kept his distance, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and caution. On the other side, he found a narrow canyon and hidden in its shadows a small cave. The girl entered the cave, placing the food on a small, worn-out mat. Ethan crouched behind a rock, peeking inside. His eyes widened in shock. A sickly alien woman lay on the mat, coughing weakly. Her skin was paler than the girl's, and she seemed barely able to move. The girl knelt beside her, offering the food piece by piece. "You must eat, mother," the girl whispered softly. "It will make you strong again." Ethan's heart ached. He realized the girl wasn't stealing for herself. She was saving her mother. The acts of theft were acts of love. The realization made him feel a strange warmth in his chest. No wonder the girl had been so careful. She wasn't committing a crime, at least not in her mind. She was protecting life. Ethan left that night without a sound, but sleep eluded him. He thought of the girl's determined eyes, of the frail mother, and of the harshness of life on Vera 9. The next evening, he brought his own small loaf of synthetic bread, placing it discreetly at the edge of the canyon where he had seen the girl enter. Hiding, he watched as she discovered it. Her eyes widened in surprise, then glimmered with hope. She took the bread carefully and carried it to her mother, smiling softly. Days passed, and Ethan continued his quiet support. He learned their routine. The girl would sneak out, gather whatever small rations she could, and feed her mother. Ethan's contributions became slightly larger each day. He brought extra nutrient paste, small portions of protein capsules, and even clean water. He found ways to leave them without revealing himself, using the colony's shadowed corners and supply routes. One night, as he watched her, Ethan noticed something new. The girl was leaving small messages for someone, or perhaps for herself. Tiny scraps of paper with neat, careful handwriting, placed where they would not be disturbed. Ethan's curiosity grew. Were they prayers? Reminders? Or a way to cope with the loneliness and fear she faced every night? Ethan's empathy deepened when he heard her voice, soft and trembling, as she spoke to her mother. "Mother, I promise you'll get better. I won't let anyone take care of you but me. You're safe." The word struck him. Despite her young age, the girl carried a strength and courage beyond what most adults showed. She bore the burden of survival and love, facing dangers Ethan hadn't yet imagined. One evening, as he prepared to leave a small ration, Ethan noticed someone approaching the canyon. He froze. A security patrol from the colony had begun investigating the food thefts. Panic surged through him. If the patrol found the girl, she would be taken away, or worse. Acting quickly, Ethan moved to block the path, creating a diversion by dropping some tools from his pack. The patrol investigated the noise, and Ethan quietly signaled the girl to wait. When the patrol left, she quickly gathered the food he had left and returned to her mother. That night, Ethan understood the risks the girl took every night. She was small, fragile but fiercely determined. Her love for her mother was a force that demanded respect, and he realized that he too could be a part of this force, an invisible ally in their struggle. Over time, the bond between them grew, even without direct contact. Ethan watched the girl gain confidence, seeing her move more easily through the colony, taking calculated risks, and always caring for her mother first. He marveled at her ingenuity. She had fashioned small traps to protect their cave from scavengers, created simple signals to communicate with him indirectly, and even managed to clean water from nearby condensation in a makeshift container. One evening, the girl paused by the edge of the canyon and looked up at the stars. Ethan, hidden behind a rock, felt a pang of admiration and sorrow. She whispered, almost to herself, "I will not let you die, Mother. I promise." Her voice was soft but unyielding, full of determination that seemed to echo across the canyon walls. Ethan's heart swelled. He wanted to reveal himself, to let her know she wasn't alone in her fight, but he hesitated. For now he would remain invisible, a silent helper, a guardian angel in the shadows. But he knew the moment would come when she would need him to step out of the shadows completely. The alien girl's courage, her unwavering love for her mother, and her ingenuity reminded Ethan of what humanity could offer. Not just strength or technology, but compassion, understanding, and the willingness to help those in need, even across species. In that small canyon on a harsh planet, he realized that being human wasn't just about surviving. It was about standing for something greater, even when no one else saw. As he left that night, he glanced back at the cave, seeing the girl tuck the food carefully beside her mother and settle down beside her. Ethan whispered silently, "I'll be here. You're not alone." And for the first time, he felt a connection deeper than curiosity or sympathy. It was a shared understanding of survival, love and courage that transcended species, reminding him why humanity could shine even among the stars. Days passed on Vera 9, and the rhythm of life in the colony went on as usual. Yet in the hidden canyon at the edge of the settlement, a quiet struggle unfolded every night. The alien girl, whom Ethan had come to think of as Lyra, moved with greater confidence now. She no longer seemed as frightened, and the stolen rations she gathered were supplemented by the secret supplies Ethan left at the canyon entrance. Ethan watched from afar, careful not to reveal himself too soon. He admired her courage. Each night, Lyra carefully fed her mother, Mara, and then cleaned their small cave as best she could. Mara's condition was delicate. She was recovering slowly, but her illness left her weak and vulnerable. Yet even in her frailty, there was a spark of life in her eyes, a glimmer that seemed to strengthen with each night of proper food and care. One evening, Ethan decided it was time to step up his efforts. He had been quietly observing the colony's discarded supplies and realized he could modify a small medical unit from scrap components. It wasn't perfect, but it could monitor Mara's vital signs and deliver basic nutrient support. He spent hours carefully assembling the device, adjusting wires and tubes until it hummed quietly in the darkness. When he arrived at the canyon that night, he left the device hidden near the entrance. Lyra found it, her wide eyes reflecting the dim light of the twin moons. At first she hesitated, unsure of what the strange device could do. Then, seeing Ethan's careful arrangement of tubes and rations, she understood that someone kind and strong, was trying to help them. Ethan remained in the shadows, watching as Lyra connected the device to her mother. Mara stirred weakly, sensing the presence of aid, and allowed the tubes to deliver the nutrients. For the first time in weeks, her breathing seemed easier, and color returned slightly to her skin. Lyra's small hand rested gently on her mother's, and she whispered words of gratitude and relief. Over the next few days, Ethan continued his secret support. He brought additional tools to improve the medical device, extra rations, and small comforts like soft mats and blankets. Lyra began to leave notes for him, delicate scraps of paper with simple symbols that showed she understood his help and appreciated it. Although they had never spoken directly, a quiet friendship formed, built on trust and mutual care. But the colony's security team remained vigilant. The missing food supplies had been noticed, and the patrols became more frequent. One night, as Lyra returned with a small portion of stolen bread, she nearly ran into a security officer. Panic surged through her tiny frame. Ethan, observing from a distance, reacted immediately. He used a small flare to create a distraction, drawing the officer away while Lyra ducked into the shadows. The incident reminded Ethan of the risks they faced. Lyra was brave, but she was still a child, and the dangers of the colony were real and unforgiving. He decided it was time to make a choice: remain hidden or intervene directly to ensure their safety. After much thought, he resolved to step forward carefully, in a way that would not frighten them but would protect them from discovery. The following night, Ethan approached the canyon slowly, carrying extra food, medical supplies, and a small bag of clean water. He called out softly, "Lyra, it's safe. I'm here to help." Lyra froze, her violet eyes wide in shock. She had never heard a human speak to her so directly in the dark. Mara stirred slightly, sensing something new, and turned her weak gaze toward the voice. Ethan held out the supplies, keeping his posture calm and non-threatening. After a tense moment, Lyra took a cautious step forward. You help us?" she asked, her voice trembling with hope and uncertainty. "Yes," Ethan said simply. "I want to help you and your mother. You don't have to face this alone." Tears welled up in Lyra's eyes. She had never known trust like this, and the weight of her struggle seemed to lift slightly. She nodded slowly and guided Ethan to Mara, explaining carefully how her mother had fallen ill and how they had survived on small rations. Ethan listened, his heart heavy with both sorrow and admiration. Over the following days, Ethan worked with Lyra to improve the medical support for Mara. He taught her how to monitor her mother's condition and how to use the device safely. Lyra proved to be quick to learn, her intelligence and ingenuity shining through despite her young age. They formed a quiet team, united by the desire to save Mara and ensure they could survive together. One evening, Mara's condition worsened unexpectedly. Her breathing grew shallow and her eyes flickered weakly. Lyra panicked, tears streaming down her face as she shook her mother gently. Ethan acted swiftly, adjusting the medical device and administering the nutrients more carefully. He stayed by their side through the night, speaking softly to both mother and daughter, offering guidance, reassurance, and hope. By dawn, Mara's breathing steadied. Lyra clung to Ethan, her small hands gripping his jacket as she whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for saving her." Ethan smiled gently, ruffling her hair. "You did most of the work," he said. "I just helped a little." "You're strong, Lyra, never forget that." The bond between the three deepened. Lyra learned to trust Ethan completely, sharing her thoughts, hopes, and fears with him. She spoke of her home planet, destroyed in a distant war, of the family she had lost, and of the determination to survive for her mother's sake. Ethan shared stories of humanity's resilience and ingenuity, teaching her skills that could help them endure life on Vera 9. Their quiet alliance soon faced another challenge. A group of scavengers drawn by rumors of hidden supplies in the canyon discovered the area. One night they attempted to enter the cave, seeking food and valuables. Lyra froze in fear, but Ethan acted quickly. Using small improvised traps and distractions, he managed to scare off the scavengers without them realizing the true occupants of the cave. Lyra and Mara were unharmed, and their trust in Ethan grew even stronger. Through these trials, Ethan realized something profound. Humanity's strength was not just in technology or firepower. It was in the ability to care, to protect, and to act selflessly for the sake of others. He had seen it in the small acts of kindness he performed, in the trust he built with Lyra, and in the courage she showed for her mother. It was a reminder that even in the vast, cold expanse of space, human compassion could shine brighter than any star. As the moons rose high in the sky, Lyra and Mara sat together, sharing a small meal. Ethan watched from a distance, smiling quietly. He had never sought recognition or reward, but the quiet gratitude in Lyra's eyes and the improved health of Mara were reward enough. Lyra finally spoke to Ethan directly, her voice filled with wonder. You are human?" she asked. "Yes," he replied softly, "and humans can be brave, clever, and kind. But it's not just me. It's everyone who chooses to help when they can." Lyra smiled, her eyes shining with newfound hope. "Then you're like a hero," Ethan chuckled softly. "I'm just a friend." But in that moment he realized the truth. By helping them, he had become more than a friend. He had become a symbol of humanity's courage, ingenuity, and compassion. He had shown that even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, humans could make a difference. Over the following weeks, Mara's health improved steadily. Lyra no longer had to steal food, and the canyon became a place of safety rather than desperation. Ethan continued to visit, teaching them about survival, technology, and even simple games to lighten their spirits. Together they formed a small hidden family, a human and two aliens bound by trust, care, and shared struggle. The colony remained unaware of their presence, and the stolen food incidents gradually stopped. But the lessons endured. Lyra learned the value of trust and kindness. Mara regained strength and hope. And Ethan, quietly observing them, understood that the true power of humanity was not in conquest or weapons. It was in the willingness to help, to endure, and to protect those who could not protect themselves. One evening, as the twin suns set and the canyon glowed in the soft twilight, Lyra hugged Ethan tightly. "Thank you for saving us, for believing in us," she whispered. Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth that reached beyond words. "We saved each other," he replied. "You, your mother, and I, we all did it together. That is what makes us strong." As the stars began to twinkle above Vera 9, Ethan realized that humanity's story was not just one of exploration or survival. It was a story of connection, courage, and compassion. In a small canyon on a distant planet, he had witnessed the best of what humans could offer. And in the eyes of a small alien girl and her recovering mother, he saw a reflection of hope that would endure far longer than any struggle, far beyond the reach of time or space. And so, under the twin moons and the silent stars, the human and the two aliens sat together, a small family of courage and compassion, knowing that no matter the challenges ahead, they would face them together, undaunted, resilient, and united. Humanity had shown its strength once more, not through weapons or conquest, but through the simple, profound act of helping others when it mattered most.